welcome back to the WTF podcast as we meet up again to take in some listeners' questions and look over Sunderland's incredible early work in the transfer window. I have lots of guests on the chat, so first and foremost, and how I'm viewing them. Pete, how you doing, mate? You alright? You forgot.
Struggling to find the
mute
mute
button.
button there. I am great, mate. I am great. We're about to go away for a few days to Amsterdam and then to Brussels to see a friend of mine. So that's going to be lovely. And Sunderland just keeps signing player after player after player and are linked with more and more. It feels great. Love it.
What are you going to be doing in Amsterdam?
Going to go and see Jimmy O Yang, the comedian.
Is that it?
It was supposed to be a romantic weekend away with me and my wife, but my mother-in-law's travel plans got a bit messed up, so she didn't arrive. So it's actually the whole lot of us. So instead of a romantic weekend away, it's me, my wife, our 14-month-old daughter, and our dog.
You and me go to Amsterdam for very different reasons.
Honestly, it's not the way I've gone to Amsterdam in the past. And I'll tell you right now, when I booked the trip, it's not how I imagined it was going to plan out. But do you know what? It'll be lovely.
I hope you have fun. Ross, please uplift bring a bit more real Amsterdam to the podcast. How are you doing? You alright?
Aye, I'm good. Sweating though, it's boiling in it. I like it hot, but this is too hot, especially this late. There's no need for it. Sorry to bring the whinge down, but it's too hot.
Too hot.
It's too hot. 20's plenty.
Well, if you're hot, Dave's definitely hot. Dave, how are you doing? You alright?
What a start to the day this is. Unbelievable. If you think it's hot up there, it's like 30 degrees down in the Cotswolds. It's ringing. It's absolutely grim. And then try having a 1600, a building from the 1600s, which is Cotswold stone, absorbs the heat. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Everyone loves holidaying here. Love it. But yeah, to be honest, this is why, as a football club, we're signing the players that we are. Get them ready for climate change. Absolutely smashing it. Very clever. Speak when you are a genius.
Safcon. Sophie, how are you doing? You alright?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm glad to be back on and chatting all things Sunderland. I have a feeling this podcast is going to be absolutely mental.
Yeah,
I can feel it.
I'm gonna have to do some editing, I think, at several points in the podcast. Also, you got described as a breath of fresh air today.
What a compliment.
Well, what I was wondering was how long it's going to take for us to turn you absolutely daft as a brush. Because it ain't going to take long, I promise you. We'll try our best.
No, not even a year yet, and I feel like I'm slowly losing my mind. I'm not joking.
Saying that, if you listen back to the playoff live podcast, I reckon you've gotten that point anyway. But anyway, let's move on. Ross, I'll come back to you straight away. We've signed Chemsdine Talbi and Simon Adingra since we last spoke, which seems like par for the course, really. So 2 brand new wingers. I think I know what you're going to say to this, but what's your thoughts on both signings?
Adingra, very, very good. You know, I've only seen him a few times when Brighton have played, but he's looked really good on those times. He's Premier League experience, which is something we've all called for. People who've played in the Premier League know the level and have actually affected the level. I think it was a case of Brighton, when De Zerbi left, he kind of lost his place, and it's kind of hard to get in the team when you've got one of the best wingers in the Premier League ahead of you. So I think value for money wise, there's not many Premier League proven players who are young with potential and have done it at international and in Europe before who you could possibly get for 20 odd million. So I think if you add all of them up together with the attributes he's got, he's basically like for like with Mundell, and we always said we needed 2 for every position. He's played on the right and left, so yeah, really good. Talbi, one that I can be honest, I haven't really seen him play other than the clips that everyone's seen, but again, he's really quick. His goal scoring record's decent for how many games he's played. He scored goals in the Champions League. He got man of the match against Atlanta, so his caliber's there, and it just proves this season that watching Sunderland's going to be like watching the Red Arrows. We're going to be fast as fuck on that counter attack, and yeah, bring it on.
Hi, I'm pretty happy with both. I think we said in the last podcast I'd like a better Premier League experience. It maybe wasn't in the shape of a 21-year-old winger from Brighton, but he's had, I think, 2 seasons, and I think everything coming out of Brighton is not that they're happy for him to go, but they understand why he has. But I think a lot of them spoke about the game he played against Ajax and apparently tortured them a couple of years ago in the Europa, which, look, if you think where we were merely 3, 4 years ago, if you told me we'd be signing a winger for 21 million that tore Ajax new Arsenal, I'd be pretty happy. So I'm pretty willing to give him a chance, I think. But Pete, look, you're the most positive, excitable one out of all of us, I think. So you must be like doing cartwheels, eh?
It's gone beyond. I've kind of like maxed out on the signing who from where for how much, and it's just every time I open up the phone or it buzzes because it's one of the group chats from the podcast and it's another. It's actually happened. I think I said last time I'm just letting it wash over me because the honest truth is most of the players that they've signed, apart from the lad from Brighton, I've not really seen anything of. The vast majority of them anyway. So it's just exciting. I am very excited. But when you said, "Am I all excitable at the moment?" Not really. Just like it is amazing, and it's incredible when you look back, like you said, of who they were signing, who they were linked with, who they were being turned down by, just in the very recent past. It's incredible, man. It's brilliant. Man, I love it. It's just brilliant to see, and it's good when they're also starting to get like other than things nice right as well. Like I mean, I love the away kit. I've already got that ordered and on its way. Missed out on the jacket to get that in that size, but I'll be waiting for that later. But you know, it's like it just feels good and it feels really positive. So I don't think they need anybody like myself bouncing around when they've just been panned somewhere going, oh, it's still going to be 100 points and 100 goals. Like I think it's just generally quite positive around Sunderland Football Club at the moment and around Sunderland Association Football Club at the moment. I corrected myself because I know it bothers some people and it sometimes bothers me. But yeah, lovely stuff. Bring it on. Let's long may it remain happy, but I'll see how happy I am just after. I think there's going to be a moment immediately after kick-off against West Ham where I'm going to, okay, right. They haven't immediately been battered. That's okay.
Dave, I think you largely have to kind of agree with the same as what Pete and Ross said. But again, two exciting signings. One player that comes with 2 years of Premier League experience, but loads of potential, loads of talent, which fits the ambitious project slash forward slash model, whatever it's called these days. But happy with the two signings and the fact that we've got some real strength on the wings now.
Absolutely. I think it's just nice, let alone who we're getting through the door, let alone how much money we're spending. There's just a clear and concise plan. It's refreshing. It's nice to see they're delivering on things that they told us previously would happen. They told us it'd take our time to get there, but there was always plans in place for 3-year strategies, 5-year strategies. Just looks really, really exciting. I probably don't sound like it's really exciting, but it's just as if it's coming to fruition a little bit. Yeah. So far, and I'm not trying to tempt fate at all. Just looking at comparisons, I mean, we've spent 105 million it is so far. Burnley have getting Kyle Walker through the door, signed Ashley Barnes for an extra year contract. Leeds are getting rejected 12 million for Longstaff. I know which club I'd rather be. And you can, if you take away the emotion of it and you can, like the passion of the fans, I can understand why some Leeds fans are getting irate because they look at what we're doing. We're probably the envy of a few football clubs. I mean, Forest at the minute, absolutely getting ripped to shreds, and that shows the difference between qualifying for the Champions League and not qualifying for the Champions League. It's massive. So, yeah, God knows what's happening next season when we qualify for the Champions League. I don't know how much we're going to spend, but fair play. How much is Alexander Isak again?
Don't want him. Never would. He's made his bed, he can lie in that little shit. Um, Sophie, I think, following on from what the lads have said, they're both really good signings on paper. And I think we're all biased, of course we are. We all think Sunderland are bigger and better than anyone else, mainly because they are, but like we are biased. But I think when you look at the business that maybe Leeds and Burnley are doing, and look, the window's not closed yet, but it does give you a bit of an oomph, doesn't it? I can't think of a better way to so to speak, but like it is positive around Sunderland and these signs that are coming through the door. There's not really a great deal of negativity about it whatsoever. It's all pure positive, isn't it? Which is a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, we can't complain. You know, the money that we've spent when we first started spending money at the beginning of the window, I couldn't believe it because I don't think any of us have seen Sunderland spend this type of money before, and it's quite alien to us. But you know, you look at their signs and look, it's already been said that we're making really ambitious signings. Yeah, of course, we are signing young players, and some of them haven't played in the Premier League and they want to play in the Premier League. But it's that quality, isn't it? It's that they can make the step up, and that the model or the strategy is just adapted. It's just found new ways to kind of go down different channels and stuff. And that's why, you know, like I say, it's always going to be for us, I think, cautious when we're looking at the amount of money because we're used to bad stuff happening to us. But at the moment, we can be really positive and really, you know, I think that there's a bright light to be shone on us in terms of the stuff that we're doing in the transfer market. You know, like you look around and some of the fans have kind of gone, wow, Sunderland are going for it. It's like, you know, Ipswich spent a lot of money, but what did they spend it on? Championship players, and we're not preparing
Jack
for
Clark.
next season. Yeah, exactly. And we're not preparing for end of the season, in the championship. It's we want to be competitive, and that word's been thrown around a lot, I should say, over the past kind of 48 hours by, you know, Luke O'Nien, by the manager, you know. So I do think that we need to be positive and that and feel that good feeling up until obviously kickoff, like what Pete said, and then we'll all go, oh God, we actually here, we actually doing this. But yeah, feeling really positive about the signings that we're making.
The biggest thing I'm stressed about at the minute is that I know absolutely no Premier League podcast, and I'm like scrambling to find like people who know stuff about West Ham and that and Brentford. I'm just like, oh shit. And I'm just delighted we've got Burnley second game of the season, so I can get Joe on and be like, Joe, this save us here, mate. But yeah, I'm so far so good. I've got one, so you know it's a building block. But
Funny you
alas,
say that, Graham, because when we're talking about like the podcast, you don't know anything about it. A lot of my mates in at work, they're like, I point blank refused to join the Fantasy Premier League for the past 8 years out of pure spite. I was like, I'm not joining that. We're not part of it. This year, I'm going to join because I'm going to know the players and I'm going to actually, I might watch Match of the Day. You know what I mean? Like,
oh
I
God,
might
I
do that. I haven't watched Match of the Day for like 8 years. So yeah, little things in it, just the little things. I'm proper petty. It's pathetic, but yeah, I'm going to watch Match of the Day and have a fantasy team.
there's a weird part about me that will miss the championship because I think it's like a better league to watch, but ultimately, like, it's crap when you don't get out of it. So yeah, it's mixed. But look, Ross, I'll stick with you. There's been links to Petrovic, the keeper, Mika Wadsey, which to me always felt like a pipe dream and was never going to happen. Like I don't understand why people were as confident as they were on it. And look, I hope I'm proved wrong because there would be two really good signings, but it looks like they're both dead in the water. But I think the thing I take from that is that it's clear that even if we're thinking about these players, like even if he's like KLD's just like making them up and going to go for them too, even though he doesn't have much chance of it. It's clear we want to strengthen the goalkeeping department. The two links that have come out today, just to add a little bit of negativity here, is Sam Johnson and Aaron Ramsdale, which sounds weird because Aaron Ramsdale's an England goalkeeper, in name at least. He has had the relegations and stuff like that as well, but I don't not rate Ramsdale, but I believe he's on about 140 grand a week, and he's not going to come anything less than 20 million, I don't think. And then you look at Sam Johnson, who hasn't really played that often. What would you like to see someone do in the market regarding a goalkeeper? And if we can't bring one in of like a Petrovic or a Bulgar as it was quality, are we okay to go with Pato?
Um, Goalkeeper wise with Petrovic, I think it's came out that he was basically given the green light to find a club by Chelsea, so they had an agreement that if he finds a club and they pay 25 million, he can go. So I think the links have probably came about because he's seen that we were after Bulker, who's turned us down. We were going to offer around 20 million. So I think the approach has actually come from him and his agent to the club that he'd be interested. But then we've clearly got a budget of, I think it's probably less than 20 million for a goalkeeper, but 18 wasn't it for Bulker? So I think that's where the links come from. Ramsdale for me just wouldn't be value for money, given his recent performances in the Premier League. His confidence was shot when he got dropped by Arteta at Arsenal. whenever he covered for Ray, he looked shaky. I think last season he was probably on a hiding to nothing at Southampton, though, the way they play. He was always going to be vulnerable, it's fair to say. But at the same time, I think I know you hate me when I do all this, but I'm a proper geek for stats. He's expected saves from shots. He's conceded for the last, I think it's 4 seasons, at least 5 more goals than he's been expected to. So it clearly shows a player on the decline, because the reason Arsenal signed him in the first place was because even though he was in a struggling side at Bournemouth and Sheffield United, he was over exceeding on certain statistics. So once they've evened out, I think, like you say, the wages as well, ridiculous. Sam Johnson, on the other hand, he hasn't really played enough games to be judged in the Premier League of late. He had one season, I think it was the COVID season, where he played a full season for West Brom, when they got promoted, and he did all right. And again, he was another one who went to Palace, and I think he did all right and got injured, didn't he? So then he got replaced by Dean Henderson, who's still there now as the number 1 keeper playing for England. So I think he's been a bit unfortunate that wherever he's been, he's had the likes of Dean Henderson ahead of him. I think, I don't know who the keeper is at Wolves now, but they've always seemed to have got some sort of Portuguese number 1 who just rocks up every season. They've got a new one. So I think he's been a bit unfortunate. I think if you'd offered me at the start of the window, without the links to Bolter and Petrovic, Sam Johnson, I probably would have went, yeah, steady head, Premier League experience, cheap. But now we've had that teaser and a bit of taste of, oh, could we get somebody who's been like really good at the elite level? I think I'm kind of like bordering on, is it worth it financially? To if we're gonna need it, we need 2 centre halves. We need a striker. Is that money best used elsewhere? I did have worries about Patterson, because midway through the season he clearly had a blip. He did cost us a few times, but then at the back end he showed that when he's focused and he's on it, he's a great keeper. I just think like it's clear now though that the club have identified that they want to improve, and I honestly think they'll go for an elite level keeper in Europe, especially with Gafosi's links around there. And I think that's where the striker will come from too, if we don't go down the free agent market.
I think the goalkeeper that Reggie's had at Lorient, I believe he's out of contract or something like that. So like I find that one quite an interesting because he's 31 and he's free. And I'm just thinking outside the box here, but if like they think they need a better goalkeeper, there's a player that's played top flight football there to beat in France, but like most of them have that we're signing at the minute, it seems. But there's part of me that see, I said on this podcast about March time that I felt Pato had reached his ceiling with Sunderland. I don't really disagree with that, despite the fact, yeah, I thought he had a really good playoff campaign. I would love him to prove us wrong because he's a local boy. He's been here 4 years as our first choice goalkeeper. I would love him to like shove that comment right on my backside and prove me wrong because ultimately it would benefit Sunderland. And ultimately, if I had a choice, I'd love all 11 players to be like local and really good. I think that's like the ideal world, isn't it? But it's not really. We don't live in a utopian world, especially not with football. But I just feel like Pato wouldn't be as bad as some people think at the same time. I think some people seem to have this like Pato cannot physically do it. And like, I think he'd be all right. But I think there'd be games where potentially is the things that we think he could be better at might hinder us. And of course, his kicking's a big one. Ultimately, I'd like us to do a big Craig Gordon kind of signing. I love a big £9 million goalkeeper that we just brought in that's like young and up and coming and stuff. But I think it has to be value for money. And I think Ramsdale just doesn't represent it in the slightest. And I'm not saying he's terrible. I actually don't. I thought what you said before, up to the point he got the move to Arsenal. And when I thought Arsenal got Raya, and I felt it was harsh on him at the time. But since then, his confidence just seemed to be shot, and it certainly didn't help him going to Southampton, who were basically like cannon fodder last season because of numerous reasons. But Peter, how do we go with this goalkeeping situation? Because that's 2 goalkeepers now on the face of it have turned us down. Like, at what point do we get into like the 5th choice and go, are they value for money? Are they better than Battle?
I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of panic in the recruitment team.
Panic?
No links to them whatsoever. No ken into what they are doing at all. But I think they have deeper lists than three or four even. And when I say a deeper list, I mean lists as deep with quality that they're happy is of a standard before it drops off massively. I'm still confident that they'll find their goalkeeper. I think it will be somebody from overseas, somebody from Europe, but no idea who fits into that. Um, I think we're probably looking for somebody who's playing international football. At what level? I've got no idea. For whom? I've got no idea. But I think that's the only type of goalkeeper that you can quite justifiably, or somebody who's on the cusp of it, quite justifiably then go to Patterson. Yeah, you're now number two. Because I think what he showed at the end of the season last year is there is a very capable goalkeeper there. It's a huge step up into the Premier League. That yes, his kicking, yes, sometimes his I don't want to say his fitness, but yeah, pretty much his fitness was being questioned. And but he's still a very, very good goalkeeper. And if it came down to it was him between the sticks against West Ham, I wouldn't be too distraught. But I would love to think that we could have the pull to find the right target for a goalkeeper. But then again, as Dave said, there's big positions need to be filled at centre half and centre forward as well. So, well, how much do you willing to dip into the budget for them? Because there isn't infinite money. There's a lot of cash clearly, but there isn't infinite money.
Say we have like 50 million left, and that's not kind of pulled out of thin air. I think that some people have been saying we'll aim to spend about 150 mil, which leaves about what 50 mil left, give or take,
Out
depending
there,
on.
yeah.
I don't know. I've never checked KLD's bank, and apparently neither sees
Chuck,
the last
chuck
couple of
those
years.
figures
But
around left, right,
yeah,
and centre.
that's just,
I've
just
got access to his TSB Savers account on my phone, like.
where would you spend, like, say you've got 25 million to target one particular or two particular areas, or you've got 25 million on one, and then you've got like another 25 million to fill two positions. Is a goalkeeper, is it centre half, or is it up top where you strengthen?
Centre
Because from,
forward.
yeah, same, aye.
It's centre
Because
forward. It's centre forward, then it's centre half, then it's goalkeeper in the order of threes. But it's without even blinking, it's centre forward. Because I think if you've got somebody you can take those, not even the half chances, but the micro percentage chances in the Premier League, it is the difference between staying up because it's so ruthless and the chances are so few and far between that they have to be taken, and you have to have somebody who has that instinct to do it or the ability to do it. And if you can get them, they don't come cheap. And that's where your money's going to have to go.
do you think, because there'll be people listening to this saying, well, what about Elijah Mayenda and what about Wilson?
Fantastic player and Isidore as well. But it's also,
You take the pressure off them by bringing in
yeah,
someone that can score you 15 goals, and then they can add the fives and sixes, and then you go and they've contributed.
this is the thing is that it takes a massive amount of pressure off them. And not that I don't think they can handle the pressure. I think they're I mean, Mayenda and Isidore, I think are two of the coolest people that have ever put on Sunderland shirts. Both like in every sense of it, cool as in they're extremely cool, but also very calm and collected. And yeah, I do think I would prefer to have one more in somebody proven. A God, who I want a proven striker in. I've got 25 million. It needs to be somebody that can get us into the Europa League and the Premier League. It's who's out there, isn't it? It ultimately depends on that. I mean, there might be a target because again, getting that real quality in at centre half, I think, could be a massive difference maker. Not that I've got any reason to question Luke O'Nien or Dan Ballard, but just getting somebody else in there who can really, who is at that high level. And I don't know if Cresswell's the person for it, but he seems to come highly recommended, and everything we've seen from him, he does look great. You suggested he might be a little bit pricey. I'm starting to come around to that a bit, but I think it just might be the price of doing business.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the prices I've seen quoted for Cresswell are going anywhere up towards 17 million. I think for years, like I've looked at the Premier League and gone, oh my God, what are they spending that much money on that player for? Now I'm starting to realize it's just it's the price of money, and it? It's the price of trying to get success. And I think from what I've seen, I think look again. I'm not. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I don't think this about Luke O'Nien." Don't never write Luke O'Nien off. Like learn your lesson. Never do.
No, no, I would never do that. I almost did when I was saying there, but no, no, I know that fine well. If anybody can make that step up, it is him.
And I certainly wouldn't doubt like Dan Ballard in any way. I think Dan Ballard's maybe could be a bit faster, but I think in a lot of ways Dan Ballard's built to be a Premier League centre half, and there's reasons there's been worries from our end that he was going to go at the Premier League previously, and there's reasons has been linked to him going to the Premier League. It's because he has the potential and the ability to be in that division, and now he's got a lot of experience, like at a high level Championship club that's now going to be a Premier League club. So I do back that. But if either of those get injured, like there's actually no one there really at the moment because. So you need to strengthen anyway, and if we're going to strengthen, you might as well strengthen with someone who we think can be a regular first choice centre half. So yeah, look, there's work to do. As positive as all this is, this shows you the kind of step up we've got. But Dave, I wanted to bring you into the conversation here a minute because there's something that I think I was really disappointed to read today. I've been banging on about it since January. It looks like we're not interested in Jordan Henderson, which I mean, I like the fact that they're not going to nostalgia rule them. I kind of like that because it would be an easy signing to make. And I like the fact that they go, no, we're going to go down our route and this is what we want to do, and Henderson's not part of it. But I can't help but think when you're looking for Premier League experience, Jordan Henderson is last season's Alan Brown, but just much better. No offense, Alan Brown. I'm sure you won't be offended. The bloke's won everything, just about. Um, are you disappointed that we're not, seemingly not interested?
I am from a mentality point of view because his mentality is elite.
Mm-hmm.
They make programs on mentalities and he definitely has it in abundance. Probably, he was lucky enough to work with Steven Gerrard. I'm sure that rubbed off on him massively. So from that point of view, I am. However, we all know how much I like to talk to associate of the show, Glenn Little, and I mention him all the time. And there's one thing, and I shouldn't really say this out loud because if there's anyone from Burnley listening, I'll get pelters and he'll get hate mail as well. But his comment is at the age of 50 odd, they've just signed Ashley Barnes for a year because he's good in the changing room. Like, I'll be good in the changing room, just pay me. And I'm like, do you want to know something? I understand what you're saying. You've delivered it horribly, but I do understand what you're saying. So if we're going to be a geek like Ross, and we look back on his statistics, by all accounts, he was on the decline last year in, albeit a lesser division than the Premier League, arguably. So if he can't cut the mustard, whether it's because of the style of play, whether it's because his legs are aging,
No,
we know
he performed quite well in Ajax, I think, from the game. I think I think there's this thought process that Hendo's now done at the elite level. I don't agree with that. Like,
yeah, I think what it probably is it's judging someone by their peak of their standards, isn't it? And his peak of his standards were top 5%. Let's be honest.
world class at the time.
Yeah, exactly. No matter how much everyone wants to hate on him, he has won everything, and he was captain whilst winning everything. That's seriously impressive. So I think the judgment of the decline is based on what he has done himself, and therefore isn't doing the same now. That's perfectly understandable. I am slightly disappointed that we're not going to chase him, but at the same time, it shows a ruthlessness that we probably haven't really seen at Sunderland for some time. Like, we don't just need somebody in the dressing room who's elite mentality. And also, there was something that Reggie said in his interview the other day about the players that they're getting in have to come along for the ride and listen to the voice that needs to be heard. And I think that speaks volumes. I think
Reggie's starting a cult, isn't he?
I genuinely think it is a bit of a, it's my way or the highway.
I'm into it.
Well,
Sign me up. I'm a
if we
disciple.
if we
I
look
will
at anything
follow.
historically, if you went to Manchester United and you looked at Sir Alex Ferguson, and I'm not trying to put us up on that pedestal. Please don't think that I am. But there was a head honcho. You definitely wouldn't have disagreed with him. There was definitely an elite mentality. Jesus, what Man United would do for
Well,
that right now.
the thing is with Hendo though, the thing that I liked, and I know Thomas Tuchel is not really the flavour of the month, but I really liked the fact that he said, when you got Henderson in the squad, I can leave like a drill. And if Hendo's in it, I know it's getting done to the way I want, the standard I want it. I mean, I'm kind of the opposite. I think Hendo makes total sense. I think we're a bit mental if we think we're just going to survive in the Premier League with some really good, highly rated young players. And I know that's a bit of a negative in what is largely a positive fan base at the minute, but like, let's get realistic. You need something in there that understands what happens when things go to shit. Like, we tried this in the Championship in the Michael Beale season, and we had too many young players and no one to drag us out the shit. Last year we signed Mepham, Chris Brown, and you had Simon Moore in the dressing room, and that little bit of experience just seemed to really help us through the difficult parts. And I just think, look, Brown, Mepham's not even here anymore, and Simon Moore aren't going to play. They'll be in the dressing room definitely, but I think if you can have someone on the pitch like Jordan Henderson, that just like, for me, he can still understand and run a game in the Premier League. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I was wrong about Defoe. I wanted Defoe to come back. I was totally wrong with that. Turns out he was knackered and couldn't even play at League One level. But for me, Hendo just brings something that is actually really hard to find, and it comes for free. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Sophie, I'll pass it on to you. Am I too, like, have I fell into the pot of nostalgia and I'm actually wrong, or do you kind of agree with me?
It's a hard one because it's with the criticism of Jordan. I hate criticising Jordan. I hate people who criticise Jordan because he's a Sunderland lad. I want to stick up for him and I want him to say, yeah, he's the best thing ever. But I do think that there's this narrative at the moment that I don't know, he's not a fashionable footballer anymore. And I do think that that comes into it. He's not got the shine on him that he probably once did. I don't think he ever really had that. That's why I think at the time, if you remember, I think Alex Ferguson said he would never be a top class player because of the way he ran, because he was hunched over or something. So I don't know. I do like the nostalgia, but I think that we can't. I don't know. I kind of see both parts of it, and I'm really on the fence with it because I do see the bonus of having someone like a leader like Jordan in a team. But then I also, we've talked about captains and everything before, and we've talked about how Dan Neil's not, he's not screaming and shouting, but he is a captain, and you can see that. O'Nine's a captain, and you can see that, and there will be stuff that we don't see in the dressing room. And I feel like over the past year, we've cultivated a really, really good dressing room. And so maybe we do need Premier League experience, but I don't know if Jordan's the right person for that. I don't know. I'm in two minds.
Well, I was in two minds in January because of a certain place he went to, but yeah, I just think I would like more. That's my big worry, is that we don't have the Premier League experience, and I feel like a one that's for free would be really handy. But I want to change completely, Sophie, and ask you something completely different,
Oh,
because
go
we
on.
did this last year and it worked out really well. I can't believe this is part of a podcast, but like, people at the same time will understand why it is. Haven't really discussed the kits yet. I don't like being one of them in the nose, right? But when it comes to shirts rather than players, I actually don't mind it. I've seen them all. Obviously, the second one's been released. I've seen the home and I've seen the third kit, but I don't want to spoil the surprise. I'm in the know and you can't be in the know. Tough. But what do you make of the away kit range they've released, it, the jacket and all that kind of stuff?
It's stunning, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's just a beauty of a shirt. And there's nothing more I love than cursing someone like Hummel because they're gonna leave me with no money. Honestly, I saw it and I was like, yeah, having it straight away. But I do think so much now how much our media team get right.
Yeah.
Like, it is crazy. I don't know whether it's because it is Hummel and, I've had discussions with other fans about it. Like, I don't like just having a template. Like, there's something meaningful. I've got it. I'm not gonna lie, I've got it. And there's something really special about having a nice kit, and I don't know, it's these types of kits where you could go on holiday and you're wearing it, you can see other people looking and thinking, what's that? And I thought that with the third one last year. And that's why I got the third one from last year. But I do like Hummel. I think that they put a bit of extra care in. And yeah, Hummel are just going to make me have no money.
I always thought when I went on holiday, it was just because I was really fit that people were looking at us. But
I'll think that now.
I took my son and top to New York last week because I went to New York. I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I took it to New York last week. And I was like, I'll wear it one day because I'm in New York. Not many people know that kind of team. And I was going to see the Mets play, and I was seeing my friend Michael over there who had his Sunderland Altidore shirt on because that's why he supports Sunderland, because he likes Josie Altidore, which doesn't everyone like Josie Altidore. But I think I'm being serious with that, by the way. Love Josie Altidore. Never ever forget him falling over at Chelsea, winning us a penalty, and sort of creating the Great Escape. What a ledge! But I was going to put it on, and I seen like three mags in New York, and I was like, fucking hell, it's like second skin. Then I realized I'd packed mine, and I was like, not wearing it. So out of principle, I didn't wear it. But no, I think the kits are lovely. And look, I've spoke about it online a bit. The third kit looks really nice. It's black. I'm not sure on the badge. They've gone with a black cat badge, but it's like a black sort of almost like a blackout kit. The version I've seen had the old sponsor on, so I don't know if the sponsor is going to be like a grayed out sort of black, but it's got this kind of like black sort of trim, which I think is going to go. I think it's going to go down really well. Not 100% sure on the home kit, which I believe has been on Roker Report. I'm not too sure on that because I didn't really like the Partick number, which I think it's going to be modelled on. But that second kit in the entire range, yep, that's my the money I saved from selling my house gone pretty much out the window. So here we are. But a couple of listeners' questions, Ross. I'll bring this one to you because I think it's meant for you actually. It looks like it's meant for you. This question. It looks like by the way they've
Is
worded
it
it.
why is your head so round?
It's close. It's how many big marshmallows can you fit in your mouth?
Wouldn't I? I don't like marshmallows.
What?
I think the minging. Texture's awful.
Have you tried cooking them on a barbie and that?
Not for me, like minging. Sorry to spoil it all, but nah.
Jesus
Not a
Christ.
marshmallow fan.
All right, fair enough. Jesus.
how many custard creams can you fit in your mouth at once?
Oh, it
Custard
depends.
creams.
Is that after or before I've dipped them in my cup of tea?
Go,
So you could ask
we'll have an
yourself.
answer for both.
Oh, depends. Probably about two or three. No, two or three. I reckon. I'd give it a go. Like,
I've
Love
had
that.
I've had this vision of Ross now. I forgot the guy's name, but do you know the guy who eats the cinnamon and gets too much of it out his throat?
and he's
And
got
he's
some.
like, and he's like, I think that was a bad idea. I'm having visions of like Ross doing that now without dipping them in and just being like, I've had too many custard creams. Okay, normal, nice questions. Pete, I like this question a lot actually. It's dead
No.
simple, but it's good. Which of the new signings are you most looking forward to seeing play?
I am gonna say, I mean, Diarra. I'm split between Diarra and Adringa. Am I saying that right?
Think so. Simon.
Adingra. Yeah. Anyway, I'm split between Diarra and Adingra. I think I'm going to say Diarra because even though it's a young man, he's got big shoes to fill stepping into that role that Job left. And we saw what happened last season that when Job didn't play, they were a very different team, and that team was a much weaker team. He's got big shoes to fill. I'm very much looking forward to seeing him play. Comes highly recommended.
Yeah, I think I'm Diarra as well, for the simple reason he cost the most, so therefore he should be the best because that's how
I want to
football
see the
works.
biggest one, the shiniest one, the one that costs the most, like.
I I I watched him against England, but that's the only time I've seen him. But the fact that he's cost that much money means he must have something about him. Although I might have said the same about Didier and Dong, so we'll move on really, really quickly. But Ross, oh no, Ross, I want to give you a question. Sophie, I'll give you this one. Right, I like this one. What do you think the future holds for the likes of Matty Young, Ogunsui, Tuchierov, and Abdullahi? Forgot even existed the last one. Although there's been a pathway to the first team, these young talented kids will see that looking less likely with every signing. Don't know.
Look, they do get pushed down. I get that. That's just the nature of the beast. I mean, Matty Young, I was lucky enough to see him when he played for Darlow. a couple of times, and that boy is so talented. He's honestly insanely talented for such a young man to be able to command his area. His kicking's great, his shot stopping's great. But unfortunately, this is like what I said about the model changing. Yeah, it is going to change. It is going to be harder. But that just means our quality of academy players is just going to have to take a step up. We're going to have to try and be a bit more ruthless. But that's, I suppose, why we've got a new director of football so that Speakman can oversee the development side a little bit more. These players will go out on loan. This is what happens, obviously, at big Premier League clubs. They do send them out on loan to kind of assess where they are, and then they can come back and fight for the place. It just means that when they do go out on loan, they're going to have to really impress. But there's still a pathway and there's still a way to be integrated into the squad. It just means that we're going to have to need a higher calibre of academy players. It's as simple as that.
I think we talked about Jordan Henderson before. He actually did that. He was a highly rated academy player, came through. I think Waghorn was actually the most highly rated, and as it was, he impressed so much at Leicester. Leicester ended up paying money for him, and it was Henderson that was kind of on the fringes of being like maybe in the first team, and he got in under Roy Keane on the bench, I think, against Chelsea. He went to Coventry, boo, and then came back, and he never really looked back from that. So he went to Coventry, stepped up, and then found his pathway into a team that had the likes of Malbronk, Zenden, really experienced, good quality players that were in that team. Cattermole, Lorixana. He got into that team and ended up being the best one in it within about a year, give or take, and then got his move to Liverpool. So I think they certainly shouldn't be discouraged. Not that they need advice from me, but I think there's still a pathway there. I agree with you, Sophie, on that. I think Matty Young's probably not ready for Premier League football yet, but there's
Oh,
another
no,
good
no.
season he can get. Do you know what I
But
mean?
it's about attitude as well.
Yeah.
These players have got to have the right attitude, to want to play, but also not to be like, oh, I'm not getting a game. There's no pathway. There is a pathway, like you say. Matty Young will go out on loan again and probably a higher level. Obviously, he was at Salford City, wasn't he? And impressed there. He'll probably go a bit higher, but like I say, it's about that development. It's about taking them steps in order to then come back and compete.
You look at how many loan moves Jordan Pickford had before he brought him to the team, and then when he eventually did, he played a season and went for 30 million. So I certainly think if they don't get in the team or don't get enough minutes this season, no matter what happens to us in terms of whether we get relegated, whether we stay up, I don't think it ends their chance of getting in the team. I actually think the opportunity is still very much there for them to grasp it. And I think, to be fair, the club as a whole, they've shown that with Riggy, they've shown that with Dan Neil, and they've shown that with other players. And I have a lot of confidence, even though I haven't watched them massively, in Matty Young, because all the sounds coming out about Matty Young are really, really good. And I think he's still only about 17, so yeah, 100%. No, I'll go Dave. We'll go Dave. So I like this one as well. Are the current crop of players who got us promoted not being given enough credit to play in the Premiership? I feel like a lot of our squad has been written off before a ball's been even kicked.
Yeah,
I don't feel that, by the way. That was a listener's question.
yeah, I understand the sentiment of it, but also at the same time, for that word, there isn't any room for sentiment. So it's
You've basically just done Harry Enfield there, haven't you? Been like, I understand sentiment, but louder money.
absolutely, yeah. Again, quotes from Luke O'Nien. I don't know if anyone saw them earlier.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, of course, he gets his Lukeism in at the end, which we all know and love, which is brilliant. But it's that mentality shift, isn't it? And I guess this kind of ties into the Henderson question earlier. If Labrie feels as though that mentality is already there, then he doesn't need an aging player, which is, quite an interesting point, really. Lafayette meant the mentality, by all accounts, when he came in, he just lifted everything massively. And I guess that's what we're doing with these players. They see that the ceiling's higher than some of the others. But of course, you've got to remember how young someone like Mundell is and inexperienced, realistically. So it's just someone, they're driving standards, and that's never a bad thing. For us as fans, the sentiment of people getting us promoted means nothing. It's a case of, can we get ourselves in the Premier League? Can we establish ourselves? Can we do a Nottingham Forest, and then in a couple of years' time, kind of get into the Europa League? It's all looking very positive. Listen, it's a long old slog, but I don't buy into the sentiment. Of course, we got to look at things where, inverted commas, you might get away with slightly less in the Premiership than what you would in the Championship. Huggins, how long has he been injured for? Aless, how long has he been injured for? Serkin. So not only are these people being fobbed off, but we're also protecting the football club. That's got to be a good thing for us as fans, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. Ross, this is kind of a one you can't really answer. I guess it's more an opinion, I guess. I really hope they both do, but do you think Serkin and Neil will sign new contracts? Bit worrying that nothing's been confirmed on that yet.
Yeah, I hope they do. I think, to be honest, I can't see this. This is I can see Cirkin getting a deal to Tottenham purely due to Tottenham's issues with the homegrown player status and the fact that him going into his last year probably means they'll get him for about, I don't know, would you say 8 to 10 million, around that.
Mm.
Um, I, the Dan Neil situation, I just find it hard for me to get my head around. He's clearly going to get an improved contract offer. I don't think it'll be at the levels of what Diarra, Lefebvre got, etc. Because, speaking relatively, they've been proven at the top level before, not the Premier League, but elite level. Daniel hasn't played a game outside the Championship,
Hmm.
but I don't see where Daniel goes unless it's abroad, where he's going to get a chance to play where he will at, like he will at Sunderland. So I do find that one a bit more worrying. The fact that obviously your captain, local lad, and it just seems to have not been done. But it's also worth pointing out that Sky Sports ran a thing that Mundle was in contract talks today. Don't know if you've seen that, and that's
I didn't.
because PSV are going to lose, is it Bakayoko, the winger? And supposedly if he goes, Mundle is who they want to replace. So that's one we need to get tied up pretty soon.
I think it's such a big compliment that at the same time though, like PSV looking at Mundle and doesn't surprise me so much. Like I think it goes back to what Dave was saying before about like players maybe being written off. I, I hate to go back to the other question, but I kind of agree with that because there's part of me that's kind of sad about like all these players coming in because I actually love the full squad of players that we had that got us up. Like I love them forever because of what they did for me on that day and what they did for us. But I also have like a lot of confidence in them as well that they can step up. I think when we were talking about players like Dan Neil, Chris Rigg, Job as it was at the time, Dan Ballard, Trey Hume, being linked to Premier League clubs and saying, "Oh God, what's going to happen if we don't go up and that we're going to get raided?" Because we've gone up, that doesn't change their abilities. I'm not saying it's not going to be hard. Everyone's got to adjust. But I think there's a lot of quality still within that team. Mundle being one of them massively. Patrick Roberts, I include in that. That can still contribute hugely to the team moving forward. And I think it's really important that we do remember that as much as we remember that we do need to strengthen and it is going to be tough. I think I'm really positive that the fans will be really patient with the new boys and the players that go up with us. I feel like everyone's on the same page. I really do. I mean, not everyone's on the same page on Twitter, but Twitter's just mental, and just in general. I feel like the fan base and everyone I speak to is really on the same page, has a full understanding of what it's going to take to stay up, has the full understanding that we might not, and if we don't, kind of still feeling that the club's back to kind of where it should be or could be. But I think people are also confident and positive as well with the team that we can stay up, which is nice. I think I'm probably for once more slightly negative than some people because I think it's going to be really, really tough, and I don't think we've done enough strengthening just yet. But at the same time, it's hard not to feel positive because of how much positivity is radiating from like the fan base and the club, and like Sophie said before, even like the media. Like I think it's Oscar obviously leading it, and they'll obviously never listen to this, but let's pretend that they do. But Matty and the content stuff to do with the phones and all the kind of stuff they captured, it's been really, really good. And I'm someone who, in my day job, I suppose, deal with it a little bit. I've worked for football clubs before. And it's nice to, like, if someone say for example, I had a job interview for, not that I have one, but say I did for like a club, and it was like a Premier League team or a Championship team, and they said like, I've had this question before in an interview. What I had an interview at Rangers once, and they asked me what I was inspired by, and at the time it wouldn't have been Sunderland. Now it would be. I'd say Sunderland's media team's got spot on because they kind of seem to have an understanding of the community that Sunderland is and the community that they represent, and they're just nailing it with absolutely everything that they do, whilst also being fun and engaging and entertaining. And it's just like little things like that alongside kits, signings, like it's really positive right now, and it feels amazing. And I feel like even a defeat early doors, which will inevitably happen, won't knock that too much. So I'm certainly not going to feel negative towards the young boys that got us up there in any way, shape, or form. No.
Can I just add that I think it's also probably better for the lads who, let's be honest, if we were like, all right, we're putting all our eggs in the basket of Roberts is going to be our right winger again all season, and then say it doesn't work out, I kind of think that would taint his legacy a bit. Because you look at Southampton's playoff final winning team, they're all basically either sold now or being slated as rubbish because the team they never really improved and they never got an opportunity to improve. So I also feel like there's that as well where sometimes like for Methven, I think Methven was great for us in the championship. He's a brilliant player for us last season. He was great after 20 minutes of having a wobble in the playoff final. But I think I'd like to leave that one season of him there because I feel like if he came to us, unless it was for like a cheap deal and he was fourth choice, I think third or fourth choice, then it might just be tainted. I know that's looking into it a bit. Again, we're going
Can I just say,
sentimental.
Ross, I think if I was ever to be, I hope it never happens again, but if anybody was ever to break up with me again, I think I would like it to be done by you, just the way that you talk about Chris Mepham, and then like it's like, but I'm going to leave that there in the past and not taint that. It's like, oh, it's the nicest way anybody's been dumped ever.
Proper live, laugh, love stuff on it. Like, don't
Yeah, it's
worry.
good. Good. It's
Just
like I
remember the
felt like
memories. Remember the memories.
you're not going to get my rose. Yeah, it was a bit like that.
We'll move on fast again. I like this kind of final question. I think it's a good one. It's a nice one to end on because it's looking towards a new season. I'll fire the same to all of you, and I'll give my own opinion on it as well. Who is our front three, Pete, when we start the season against West Ham? Who, as it stands, who do you put in your front three?
He starts with Talbi on the right, he starts with Mundle on the left, and he starts with, you're saying as of now, so I'm going to say Mayenda in the middle.
Ross, what's your front three?
Um, Adringa, Mundell, and Mayenda. Adringa has played on the right before.
Yeah, that's that. I think that's actually more likely, isn't it?
Sophie?
I think mine's the same as Ross. I think Adingra, Mundell, and Mayenda. Just for speed, even though I love Wilson.
Really excited to see Enzo in the middle in that kind of, because people talk about him being a 10, he's actually more of an 8 from what I've seen. But I'm really excited because his passing in the transition for players that have speed is actually wicked. And I'm kind of excited to see him just feeding balls to like these absolute like speed merchants. So yeah, it just got me thinking about the three there you did, Pete, because you got the question wrong. Dave, what's your front three?
I'm going with a curveball. So I'm going a Dringer on the right. I'm going Mayenda through the middle. And we're finally going to put Lee in his place and Wilson on the left. I mean, I know it was over a year ago. Do you know what I mean? But like, there's something about the goals that Wilson Isidore can score that I don't feel he's always got enough through the middle. But there's something about him I just think will work a treat. So yeah, I'm going with that.
Do you
Can I
know?
just point out, I love Dave's dedication to the fact that he thinks Isidore's a winger. We signed two left wingers, or players who played left wing, for over 20 million euros each, and he's like, but I think Wilson should start there really. And honestly, I love it. You're so determined to stick by it. And do you know what? You can see it now. We're going to play in the League Cup. Wilson's going to play a left wing and score, and Dave's going to go and be like, "I told you all. I told you all. He was a winger."
So do you want to know who I would pick?
I thought you'd already said, but go on.
No, Patrick Roberts on the right, Patrick Roberts on the left, and Patrick Roberts to the middle. Because I don't care what anyone fucking says, he's our best player, and he's the best that'll ever exist, and I love him.
He's certainly the only bit with a bit of Premier League experience kicking about at the minute, isn't he? Bless him.
You said
Two now, right wing and left wing.
Yeah.
I love Patrick Roberts. Anyway, I'm going to watch Love Island. Thanks for joining.
I'm going to go search free agents now. Because I feel like we've got no money. So after you said earlier, I was like, "Oh, we're going to spend 20 on every player," and you were like, "Oh, we've only got about 50 million left." And I was like, "Oh shit, we need all 4
It does
players."
feel like it put the brakes on a little bit when he said that. When
I just made it up.
came into it.
I just
I
made it
like
up.
how we're talking about this like it's our own money.